For anybody visiting IPC Apex Expo this week, you couldn't help but notice that it's been coupled this year with the ECWW. That is the world convention, basically, for printed circuit boards. And right at the heart of that, of course, is my old friend and colleague here, Gene Weiner. Gene, you are literally one of the most knowledgeable people in the PCB industry. Tell us some of the new technologies and things that you're starting to see come over here to the United States.
Well, there seems to be a rush for the U.S. to catch up and move ahead on substrates and ultra-high density interconnects, which are the 15 micron line in space type of organic substrates. And to this end, a lot of the European companies and Japanese companies and some American companies have made a number of advances. And you and I saw some of these at Productronica in November, and we're now going to see the next step forward downstairs at the exhibition hall today.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Taiwanese and Chinese companies on the show floor.
And Japanese. Well, Taiwan America, for example, has developed a new replacement for the Anjimoto build-up film, which is photoimageable.
Okay, wow.
And several of the German companies have developed exposure systems for down to 6 micron and below line in space.
Yikes.
Small Machining has done this, Schmid, and they're just Mertec, I believe. But the Small Machining one was developed in coordination with Fraunhofer Institute.
Yep.
And you can use a dry film photoresist down to 6 micron line in space.
Wow.
Below
incredible.
that, you need a liquid resist. And when I came back from Germany, I went and visited a supplier of dry film resist that can do that. And there happened to be a warehouse near us in New Hampshire carrying the Asahi dry film resist. Nobody hears about it. And for 60 cents a square foot, they could get down to 6 micron, and it's stocked in the U.S. in 4 places. I don't know if it's going to be here. And then there are a lot of new materials by the material suppliers. For example, Aventec's going to show, as are others, a new resin-coated foil and a resin-coated resin, which will be downstairs, I'm sure. I saw the advertising pre-show. So there's a lot going on. The last month has been 3 or 4 meetings of different trade associations, the SMTA meeting in Arizona, then there was one by IMAPS, and then this week, the big event, there's a program Wednesday by the TPCA and the ECWC 16 on substrates. And they have an all-day program, and it looks like a fantastic program.
Well, I heard it's going to be a huge event. In fact, they had to move rooms to accommodate all the people that are coming.
So this event would be more technical and business and educational, I think, combined than any of the events in history.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. I remember my first World Conference was in London, and Sir Harold Wilson was the speaker. He was booed by the Brits when he came in and cheered by the rest. And one of his anecdote, he did his homework. He talked about during the Second World War how he researched how the printed circuits was used for the first proximity fuse. And then he's a great big guy. He was robust, I think would be the proper term, being nice. And he said he was on his diet. He was down to 6 pints a day.
That's funny. It's funny. Actually, I think one of the first uses of flexible printed circuit boards was in the Second World War for the Panzer tanks, to be able for the turrets to turn.
Well, some of the first circuit was produced in the UK. There were patents on that and a lot of issues there. But the first ones were used for the proximity fuse that were successful.
Right. Is this the work that was done by Paul Eisler back in the day?
Pardon?
Was this the work that was done by Paul Eisler back in the day?
Paul Eisler, Paul Giesler. Paul Eisler, you're right. Technograph and Telegraph was the company that had all the patents.
Exactly.
You mentioned the name, and it comes back.
Coming back to the current day. I mean, obviously we've got a U.S. CHIPS Act, we've got a PCB Act going through Congress at the moment. But what other help do you think the government needs to give the industry to give it a bit of a boost over here? Well,
the CHIPS Act was an interesting thing. It took over a year for the first dollars to be spent.
Yes.
And it all goes for chips. And a lot of people, just yesterday they announced about another $12 billion for TSMC to build a third plant in Arizona.
Right.
Now, this is great. We're going to build all these chips here. But chips don't float, as the PCBAA says. You have to put them on a circuit, a substrate, and then you have to mount them on a printed circuit board and package them.
Right.
And that still remains in Asia. So what this is doing, it will lengthen the supply chain. So instead of being made in Asia, packaged, it'll be made in the U.S., shipped to Asia, packaged, and shipped back here.
Well, so we
need to build that industry here. There are some good signs. Some money has gone into TTM, to Green Source, and a few others. Companies like ACS in the Midwest have done it on their own and already marketing ultra-high density product that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
But we need more support from the government. I won't say the government, I'd say more incentive from the government. The government's military group, Defense Department, is providing extraordinary support by providing funding for some of these areas for defense, more than Congress, I would say.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, Congress, this U.S. CHIPS funding seems to be trickling out pretty slowly, quite frankly.
Well, I think there's enough incentive there and enough commitment there to go on. They're going to have problems just finding the skilled labor,
right,
to operate these factories, to maintain them.
That's another thing, is the H-1B visas program.
And they're not going to be able to ship too many over from Taiwan. People don't like to come here for that. And then they have a union problem in some areas that they'll have to overcome. But I think the challenge still is to build the high-tech printed circuit substrates and the packaging here in the States, more than the chips.
Yeah. Well, I think it's part. You need the entire supply chain, really, for it to be, to have any value.
Well, it goes on beyond that because, for example, the laminate and substrate for conventional product, most of it's made in China.
I know.
We have to get out of China. It's not China plus one. We have to get to someplace other than that, maybe plus two, maybe Europe. Maybe Ireland, maybe Malaysia is still pretty far. Indonesia is pretty far.
Yeah.
India's still got a way to go. India's growing, but that'll be years away before that. And that's not a good place to ship prepreg from India to here.
Right.
I think, Southeast Asia or even Mexico or preferably Europe, if not in the U.S.
Right. Yeah, I think there should be closer cooperation actually between the US and Europe on this to create a holistic.
An interesting thing was a Taiwan guy told me this morning that the EU is sending 20 engineers to Taiwan for 4 months training on how to produce ultra-high density circuitry.
Really?
And that was told to me by a Taiwan person. The American could do the same. We have an American-owned company that set up a complete demonstration lab in Yokohama to do this for their 8,000 worldwide customers. They have laser drills there, they have plating solutions, the specialty etchants which are used for this. I don't know why a bunch of American companies or trade associations such as the IPC couldn't sponsor a group of engineers to go to Japan.
Right.
For 4 months training and bring it back here.
We certainly need more training initiatives, to be able to bring some of that expertise back here.
Thursday morning session by Matt Kelly should be interesting. He's been hiring a technical staff recently.
Yes.
Recently hired a pretty good name from the semiconductor industry, which got a lot of publicity, and 6 or 7 other workers, and we'll see what that brings Thursday morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, always a pleasure to talk to you, Gene. Always great to catch up. I hope you're going to have a great show.
Thank you. You too.
Certainly going to be a busy week.
Good to see you.
Thank you for coming in.
It will be a busy week.